Oh,
And we're
hopefully.
live. Yes, no, we had a really full weekend. We built this planner.
Oh, tell me more about your domesticity. Tell me
Oh
more.
my God, it was such a domestic weekend. You have no idea. So yeah, we built a planter, and then today we went and got massages, and went to
Living on the edge. What was it? Winter Taco Bell? Was that what you said?
Home Depot.
Home Depot. Oh. Could you have gone to Taco Bell? Is that an option?
I mean, I haven't gone to Taco Bell in years, but I have this like affection for it because when I was a younger person, I'd go to Taco Bell all the time, and it was kind of like Taco Bell was just my jam. Like where I went to college, Taco Bell was kind of the only restaurant open after midnight, other than the Denny's, which was all the way on the other side of town. So you had to go to Taco Bell.
You had to go to Taco Bell. But is California like more Jack in the Box? Like I know it's really In-N-Out Burger, but is like the preferred taco location for fast food?
No, the preferred taco location is an actual taco place in
Well,
California.
I understand that, but of the fast food variety.
Uh, oh, you're asking if you were to. I mean, I'm not sure what you're asking because I didn't know Jack in the Box sold tacos.
Don't they sell tacos?
God,
Maybe I did.
you certainly
I
wouldn't.
remember I remember when going to California when I was really young, and they I got a taco from Jack in the Box, and I to this day I believe I like it. I liked it, but that could have been filled up with like illusions of grandeur from just like, oh, I'm in California right now. I'm so cool. Being
Super.
here ups my
Super.
ups my cool game by at least 30%. At least.
Yeah, I don't know about that. As far as like Taco Bell, or as far as getting tacos from Jack in the Box, I don't. I mean, and this is going to sound like way more snooty and pretentious than I mean it, but I don't really eat fast food other than In-N-Out, which we have In-N-Out every couple
Well,
weeks. But
In-N-Out is like it's a requirement in California.
it's amazing. Like it is,
Let's just
it's
get be real.
as good as they come, you know. So yes, there's a lot of In-N-Out purchasing, but no, I haven't had Taco Bell in years. I haven't had Jack in the Box in years. I had a Frosty at Wendy's like
That's
a couple
good.
months ago. That was
But
something.
that's a lot of calories, but it's delish. I just like talking about food now that I don't eat food very much. I just talk about it.
Why
It
don't
makes
you eat
me
food very much?
well. I'm like on a super diet. I've lost like 12-ish pounds in 3 weeks. So
Wow.
I'm on a mission, and therefore I'm allowed to talk about food whenever I want because it's the only
Hey.
satisfaction I get from food. Although working at McDonald's really does. I forgot how much it like ups my ante on losing weight because I'm like, oh, that looks super fatty. That also looks fatty. Okay. I just love the people who are like, can I get a double quarter pounder, a large fry, and a diet coke? I'm like, just I if I well I don't I if I don't get diet because if I'm gonna drink a pop, I'm gonna drink a regular pop. But like if I'm being bad, that might as well be a shake. It might as well be a shake.
Might as well
It
just
might,
just go all in. What the hell?
go. I mean, like, yeah, like either you're gonna fix your decisions or you're gonna die from them. That's fun fact based on actual events.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me. I mean, I can't disagree with anything that you said.
You can't disagree with my vague threats. Yes, vague existential threats.
So seriously, like the ratings just keep getting worse on Glee.
I know. That's I. Well, I was talking to Emily at work. I was like, this show. Like, if I was a network executive, I wouldn't renew it. It's just the ratings are not good.
If they hadn't already committed, I would think that it might be more of an issue. But they effectively committed. a year ago, and I don't know that they have a lot of other shows that appeal to this.
Well, they just dropped Enlisted Dads and Surviving Jack, so I guess there's something to be said for.
But those are all different audiences, like.
Yeah, but well, Emily's argument was that the show, like why take a risk on a show that probably is going to fail when they could just have a show that could have a decent hit rating.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I think, Glee survived because American Idol continues to not. And
well, American Idol's still around.
It's still around, but it's not pulling in giant numbers. Anyway, let's do the show. Test, Jennifer.
Test.
Ed.
Test.
All right. Test, Jennifer.
Test.
Linda.
Ed.
Test.
I am. All right.
All right.
All right. Hey now, ladies. Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Moving forward, using all my breath. Making love to you was never second best.
Singing this song to dogs.
And I saw the world crashing all around your face. Never really knowing it was always a mess and lace.
I'll stop the world and melt with you. You've seen the difference, and it's getting better all the time. There's nothing you and I won't do. I'll stop the world and melt with you. You should know better.
Good evening, Jennifer.
Good evening, Ed.
Good evening, Josh.
And let's never forget that Cord Overstreet sang the lyric, "Making love to you was never second best," to a bunch of dogs. So this is the Gleeful Podcast with Josh and Ed. You can find us on Twitter at Gleeful Podcast. I'm at Josh Burnell. She's at Jenny B. Creative. He's at Edward Giordano. Jennifer.
Joshua.
We're back
We
to
are
discuss Old Dog New Tricks.
Yes, we are.
The latest episode of Glee, written by Chris Colfer, directed by Bradley Bucher, written by Chris.
Do we know
so that's fun.
Bradley Bucher? And I apologize if he's done many.
Many.
Oh, okay. So he's like the other one after the first couple, and then after Eric Stoltz, who directs.
Well, I mean, I would say like between Bradley Bucher and Paris Barclay, that's probably 3/4 of the episodes.
Okay.
And then you got a couple. Yes, Eric Stoltz shows up occasionally. Brad Falchuk, Ryan Murphy direct the occasional one.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Ian. Welcome back. We're here to discuss this particular episode. We opened up there with "I Melt with You," Modern English. Is that right? As soon as that came out of my mouth.
English beat. Oh god.
No, definitely not English beats.
Yeah, so it's modern English.
Modern English. How are you today, Jennifer?
I'm good. Kind of beat. Long weekend. Busy.
Yes, we built a planter this weekend.
We didn't build a planter. We built a garden bed.
We built a garden bed.
Huge, and that's your.
It's massive.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can close
I'm
that.
gonna stick your thingy back in there.
She's talking about a printer.
That's a printer.
Ladies and gentlemen, she's talking about a printer.
Shelf sticking way out so far.
Yes, we built a garden bed. It was massive, and we're very sore
It
now.
is.
Super sore.
It's 30 cubic feet, to be exact. And there's lots of stuff in it right now. Most of which we hope will grow.
We do hope. Yeah, fingers are crossed. Ed, how are things where you are?
Things are pretty good. I'm just like, you know what happened this week? I bought Gaga tickets, which is exciting. That's very rarely just can I say things happen. So yeah, I bought Gaga tickets for Chicago in July. I was sad I missed the Born This Way ball, and so I'm like, well, I should go to the art rave because why not? Why not? So that's exciting.
Sure.
And just working. It's a good time though.
Good. Have you seen her live before?
Yeah, I saw her at Purdue. So
Oh.
Many years
back
ago.
In 2010, when it was only $30 for a ticket for Gaga, which actually wasn't true because it was subsidized by the student union. So the tickets were they were really $55, but for Purdue students, which was essentially everyone who went. But it was always funny going back to that place because the theater where the concert was held was the biggest theater at Purdue, and I used to have like tons of finals in there all the time. Like I used to sit in there and be like, there was a time when I was really happy to be in this room, and now I'm here again.
Yeah, but I mean, $30 for a college show is still, pretty pricey.
Yeah, I mean that's about what they would have cost.
I mean, that's super legit considering even that was
they weren't as good as Lady Gaga.
That was like right after Fame Monster came out, so like this is in a post, like this was on the cusp of Bad Romance, so this was like the height of the Fame.
I want to say we paid maybe $15 for Pearl Jam in '90 at my school. Squeeze, I think they gave the tickets away, but and Meatloaf, I think was $10.
Is Squeeze the band who did "Tempted by the Fruit of Another"?
Exactly.
Yes, that's true.
Tempted, that was their big hit. But they have a lot of fun songs, very similar.
Well, it was $25 in my school to see Sugar Ray and Orgy.
I'm so sorry.
On a date
they paid you $25?
Yeah, they paid us $25 on Sugar Ray and Orgy. Also, who performed at my school? Save Ferris. That's a true story.
Aww.
Save Ferris.
Nice.
I did not go to either. What I did go to was Jimmy Eat World, the Donnas, and someone else. I don't remember who the third one was, but they were also of that ilk.
I super regret not going to the Jason Mraz show that was at Purdue. I super regret it.
He played my college after I left. There you go. But the only person who played my college every year was the Steve Miller Band because Steve Miller lived in town. So
I want to say he played my college as well. I think he just does college, which is fantastic. He's still fantastic live.
Well, I've said this before, but the first 2 CDs I ever owned was Steve Miller Band's Greatest Hits and Britney Spears' Baby One More Time. So both of those have very much dictated my musical likings for all eternity. I mean, "Rockin' Me" is literally one of the best songs ever created.
Okay. Steve Miller
and
Band.
Joker.
Flashback City.
Yeah, he's classic.
Jungle Love.
It's driving me mad. It's making me crazy. So we want to thank everybody in the chat room for joining us in the chat room. We got David Delara, KQ, Alex, Sandra, Alexis, and those are the only people that are really talking. But we have some other people in the chat room, so thank you for listening live. I put out the call pretty late.
Happy Sunday night. Happy Mother's Day to everybody.
Yes, happy Mother's Day.
To the moms and the mom figures out there.
You'll, of course, be listening to this after Mother's Day, but
our thoughts
were with you in the past. So let's talk a little bit about this episode, Old Dog New Tricks, written by Chris Colfer. And we'll go around the room. Jennifer, what did you think of Old Dog New Tricks?
Oh man,
Prepare for the onslaught of hate.
This is a tricky one because as much as I was kind of indifferent about a lot of it, it was actually very sweet. I'm gonna give it a B.
Just going with the B.
I got the B.
I don't know if we're arriving at the same conclusion because of the same reasons, but I am at a B as well. Exactly. Definitely not a B plus. Not quite a B minus either. So it's like B verging on B minus, but still a B.
Josh is going to destroy the bell curve for us. Go ahead.
I'm gonna bring in all the slew of Kleiner hate mail. I am going to give it a B. There you go. What's funny is I think we're all giving it the same grade for different reasons. I'm exactly where you are, Ed. It's B minus, B bordering on B minus, for the main reason that I think it was an episode lacking polish. It was really just out there. It was so far out there that it almost didn't hang together at times. A lot of the jokes fell flat as a board, and yet it had spirit.
Heart.
And it had a lot of heart. And even though that heart was really heavy hitting, really overt is the word. Manipulative. Yes, exactly. At the same time, I thought that it was in the right place, and it was clumsy, and it was without polish, and it was largely amateurish. However, there were a lot of things that were quite sweet about it, and so I thought it was a solid B episode. The only reason I want to give it a B- is because the music I really did not like. There was maybe 2 songs that I thought were of any value, and none of them really had anything to do with the scenes that they were in.
Oh, that was the heart.
But that's been the truth of post McKinley Glee. That fact.
Yes, no, some episodes have done better. I remember like the '90s Soul Jam episode. Those songs seemed much more kind of in tune with what was going on. Last week, the songs were much more in tune with the moment.
Yeah.
This one was just.
I feel like if you listen back to last week's episode, you will say that the music wasn't that in tune with what was going on.
I mean, as far as
revisionists.
As far as a collection goes for this week, if you had just listened to these songs out of context or separated from the show, you'd think, oh, they did another '80s episode, and yet they kind of tried to loosely tie that thread to the scenes at hand.
Yeah, I mean, we can just start with. But
I liked all the songs, just maybe not all the performances.
Okay.
I think. Well, the other thing too is now that we're not seeing them perform as a glee club together. We're not seeing them perform as students of a performing arts school together. But yet they're doing these group numbers together. It kind of has lost its anchor and purpose. And I'm more distracted by the fact that they're just singing to a bunch of random dogs. And
yeah, they're really having to reach to justify
a performance.
The performance, and because there's no theme for the week. There's no like, hey, this week we're gonna do Beatles songs.
Yeah.
Where there's no Mr. Schuster to give things kind of a frame. The music does. We have had issues since moving full time to New York.
I mean, I guess what I'm saying is I feel like it's lost the performance element of the song.
Yeah.
Like we used to, we were drawn to the song for the performance element, and now it's just kind of like musical interlude, dancing with dogs.
Well, it's true. I mean, it's almost become a punchline in the last, since we moved to New York full time. It's almost become a punchline where 2 characters will be having a conversation. One of them will say, "Do you want to sing about that?" Or don't say what you said. Don't tell me right now. I think we should sing about it.
Yeah.
And or in the case of the benefit for the dogs, where the first thing Kurt says was, "Can I sing? I need to sing. It's been so long." So it has become a bit absurd trying to find ways to shoehorn in the songs.
Yeah, it's like, oh, the dogs are upset. How do we calm them? Well, as John Mayer always said.
Yeah, you should always have your guitar on you most of the time.
80% of the time.
Yes. So we started with Leah Michelle Rachel Berry, who is getting some heat on the internet for her behavior and is going to try to clean up her behavior by doing a stunt, really. By trying to help the dogs of New York. Apparently, New York has lots of stray dogs, she told us, in a really nice piece of exposition. I did not know that. But, so she's going to end up putting this event together. They went to visit the dogs, and they performed this scene of I'd Melt With You. I think the big thing to come out of this episode, though, was some pretty old-school Rachel Berry and Santana as a PR agent. It seemed like a new direction for Santana, let's use the word direction. Ed, what did you think of Santana and Rachel in this episode?
What's so funny about this is, like, before it was even suggested, which I'm sure other people had the same conclusion, was like, why isn't Santana just doing this for real? like in real life. She's obviously good at it. And then of course it was suggested. So there you go. I was picking up what he was putting down. I like considering Rachel Berry will never be truly punished, I'm glad that she's at least preventatively taking the steps to battle whatever forces that wouldn't really come her way, like whatever negative forces would inevitably not really attack her. So
yeah, she's really having to at least put in some degree of effort.
Or
though of course she gets out of it scot-free.
So
Right,
I
or
mean, when it all works out, what did you say? Sorry.
Oh, sorry, I was saying, or she could just be a good person.
No. Don't be crazy. Don't be crazy. At least when things just happen, like she rolls the d20s and things just start going well for her, like we could be like, well, she did this in this episode, so there's some justification in the universe.
But it's so, I mean, the whole thing. It's just the fact that so yes, Santana is good at manipulating people's impressions of things. Why has she never done this before? I don't know, because she's self-centered and wants all the glory of herself. Why would she possibly spend time to make other people look good?
Yeah, she'll truly be like, were they to pursue this, she would truly be the world's worst PR agent.
Because the other thing too is when it finally looks like, oh my God, actually Rachel did something that was kind of selfless and actually good for other people and not just her own image. She says, well, it was my PR agent, and I'm her PR agent. Nobody does that.
Yeah, that's never happened.
PR agent's number one job is to make you look good. Her number two job is to be invisible.
Yeah, no one has ever given credit to their PR agent for coming up with an idea.
You give credit to your stylist. You give credit to your hair and makeup. You give credit to everybody else. But you don't say, oh, I have a force behind me to make me look good.
Yeah.
Even though we all know it.
Yeah, we all know that.
Their job is to get paid to be invisible and make those moves.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then the whole thing about, Rachel, it's like, I'm so tired. I'm so tired of this, every episode. Oh, I'm a horrible monster. Oh, I'm going to do something good so people will love me again, even though it's not really, sincere. And then it's like, oh, I'm going to accidentally fall into being somewhat human again.
Yeah. She's
done.
putting in very little effort.
Dun, dun, dun.
The Rachel of the last couple episodes has been making very little effort to succeed and succeeding extremely.
Yeah.
Whereas like what I adored about Rachel.
Was that all she did was work hard? That's all she did.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
she was her cause. She even said it back then. She
Yeah.
was her cause. But she's not the underdog anymore. She's a success story. So now she should just be a decent human.
Well, that doesn't make very good television.
No.
Well, is there any chance that this? Well, see, the answer is no. But is there any chance that this will blow up in her face and we'll find all of this like justified for her? But no.
She'll get. There'll be an instance where once again she's told what you did was really wrong and we want to punish you, but you're so good, so we can't.
Well, next
Because it's going to benefit us if we don't, so we won't. I mean, that's the only reason. It's benefiting the producers to keep her performing, so that's the only reason they're not. If they didn't have any interest in it, never would happen.
So, can we find any upside to this particular plot line? I mean, I can't say I didn't enjoy watching it. It seemed entertaining at times. Unfortunately, that's all I can really give it, but it was kind of fun. I don't know. I'm trying to look on the bright side, at least a little.
I have always wanted a tripod dog myself.
Okay, there you go. Tripod dog.
Tripod
Boom.
dog.
I mean, I liked
Win.
Santana and Rachel working together.
And the fact
They
that
will always be better. Yes, that's true.
And the fact that Santana didn't falter from her actual her pursuit of selflessness. She didn't falter in that, and I kind of like her blonder hair. Though she
Yeah, I was like, when do you get so blonde?
I like the blonder hair, but oh my God, when did she get so skinny?
Oh, she's been
No,
crazy skinny for a while.
No, this is really
Oof.
her.
Crazy skinny.
Yeah, I mean, stunning, but like, oh my god, her legs are just so skinny.
Well, let's check in on the
skinny.
other dog-related plot line in this episode, where Mercedes and Sam decided that Sam decided that they would adopt a dog, and did not really tell her about it. After that, Cord Overstreet and Kim McHale performed Werewolves of London, and here's a clip of that. This is Werewolves of London on the Gleeful podcast.
With the Chinese menu in his hand, walking through the streets of Soho in the rain. He was looking for a place called Lee Ho Foods, gonna get a big dish of beef chow mein. Ah, ooh, Werewolves of London. Ah, ooh. Ah, ooh, Werewolves of London. Ah, ooh. You hear them howling around your kitchen door. You better not let him in. No, no, no. Little old lady got mutilated late last night. Werewolves of London again. Ah, ooh, Werewolves of London. Ah, ooh. Ah, ooh, Werewolves of London. Ah, ooh.
That was Werewolves of London, and I have a question for you two. Are Mercedes and Sam living together? Or living together? Or just living similar? I have no idea what their arrangement is. I'm so confused.
Well,
What is your question?
they're committed. They are, as far as I know, he's still living downstairs.
Oh, he's living downstairs.
Because she
but they're in the
said,
same house.
because she does say, you didn't let that thing into my room and near my stuff.
Ah, okay.
So-
all right.
No, they're still together, and he even throws out casually, "I want to marry you." I'm waiting for that. But okay, to the song. True story. I have been to Lee Ho Foods in London
Wow.
for Chinese food. Did not have the beef chow mein.
I bet they go through buckets of it.
They didn't even know about the song. 'Cause- anyhow.
Wow. All right. So what did we think about this one, Ed? What did you think about McConaughey the dog?
I thought this is an issue of where I don't actually think Sam and Mercedes have chemistry at all, but it like at the same time like they did feel right at some moments. Like I feel like this is the most right that they felt, and maybe because they were not like arguing about if the relationship should exist for this reason or that reason, or how far they want to go in the relationship, but instead of the discussion was like, what are we really going to do about this like relationship like right now with this specific issue? So
Yeah, conversation of the way relationship as it is, as opposed to is it or isn't it?
Yeah, and it also feels like it felt very realistic. It's like one person does something, the other person is like, "Are you kidding me?"
Exactly.
And Mercedes being the rare voice of reason in the show was just like, "You're not thinking this through."
But yes, did you have anything else, Ed?
Oh no, I thought like, yeah, that's it. That's my take home. I liked it. It's okay. I mean, do I want to see this relationship go on for too much longer? I don't know, but I feel like there's a bit of a shelf life that's connected to like. I think they brought in Mercedes because there wasn't enough females, but then they're like, oh, we're moving to California next year, and supposedly there's a time jump. So I don't know. Like I feel like the requirement for Mercedes is like very low. Like the only reason she's here is because she just got so popular with Dancing with the Stars, and they're like, we need this other female, and they're like, well, Mercedes is available, and storyline wise, she makes sense, and she isn't shooting movies.
It's interesting, their connection to the West Coast.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, it's funny, like how it's one thing to watch an episode and it's another thing to discuss it for an hour. And this is not an episode where there's a lot to discuss. Like, while things happened, not a lot happened, and nothing really changed. Like, nobody's relationships really evolved in any way. So it was a filler episode, kind of in the truest sense of the word. Not a lot to say on this particular one. In the case of Mercedes and Sam, it was interesting to see Sam be a little smarter. He wasn't quite as stupid as he's been recently. I have to admit, I kind of missed stupid Sam. Like, I found him to be a little more charming when he was more self-aware, as opposed to being kind of more savvy as he was in this one. I think the only thing to say about McConaughey is, as Jennifer pointed out in the episode, he's a better actor than some of the other people we've had on this show.
He had some really great moments. He was so adorable. When they're talking about him and he puts his head down and he looks up with those eyes. It was so cute.
But, like, how did this episode end with them not having the dog?
Oh,
the
my God.
episode ended with them giving the dog away. When has that ever happened in a TV show? It always ends up with them keeping the dog.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there was some things that just felt very real, felt very, natural, and, their whole discussion, it's like, okay, Sam's not always going to be perfect. Yes, sometimes he's going to want to, like, space out with his friend and play video games and be oblivious to anybody else's needs, but he's not totally irresponsible, and he's not totally without care and concern, so, it seemed like the right thing to do.
And Mercedes kind of came off as a harpy in this episode. She kind of was just yelling at him, and I don't know. It would have been interesting to see her kind of. It would have been more interesting to see him, like, actually making progress with the dog, and then the dog's working, but she still doesn't want the dog. I mean, it was just kind of like the dog was always making a mess and was always a pain in
sorted the recycling at the end of the episode. That was amazing. That dog did more in one episode than our cat had for the last 10 years.
I don't know. It was weird. So it all came down at the end where Sam said that he wanted to keep the dog because he was worried about getting lonely while she was on tour. That felt weird.
Well, I mean, maybe he should start booking some modeling gigs and,
right.
Occupying his time and earning money.
Supposedly he is earning money, isn't he?
He is, yeah, supposedly. But wasn't he supposed to tour the world with those underwear? So he's not doing that anymore?
I guess. Who knows?
Who knows?
I suppose. I mean, I suppose, like, the money that he makes on a gig might last him longer than other people, but I'm sorry. I slipped into that, real world issue.
I'm sure for the right, if you get a good spread, you can get, like, a good $20,000 modeling contract, and that's decent for a couple months. I mean, what do you want from this world?
Yeah. Actually, 12 years ago, I had a friend, and he did commercials, and he said all he needed to do was book 3 national commercials. Not even reoccurring, but just 3 national independent commercials, and, you usually get like $50,000 each. $150,000 a year. That's more than a lot of people make. So, yeah. So, I mean, in what that took up was 1 day of interviews or auditions, 1 day of rehearsals, and 1 day of shooting. So, in 9 days, he could make $150,000, which is insane.
It's good work if you can get it.
Seriously.
Well, so then let's, I guess, move on to the kicker in this particular episode. The Kurt storyline. Kurt became the lead in Peter Pan at the Home for Retired Actor things.
Broadway people.
He performed 2 songs in this episode. Let's take a listen to Memory. This is Chris Colfer with a little pinch hit from June Squibb here on the Gleeful podcast.
Leaves collect at my feet, and the wind begins to moan. Memory, all alone in the moonlight, I can dream of the old days. Life was beautiful then. I remember the time I knew what happiness was. Let the memory live again. Every street lamp seems to be.
That was Memory from the musical Cats. And Chris, in this episode, who wrote an episode about himself, which I thought was kind of adorable, in this episode, Kurt gets cast as the lead in Peter Pan. If I had to give this episode anything, as many problems I have with the other two plot lines, I think if you'd fixed those other two plot lines, this plot line still worked. I think this was the reason this episode got a B. This episode, despite being incredibly overt and lacking in some polish, this storyline really worked, and this is why I think everything hung together.
It was very sweet.
Now, did this storyline work better or worse than the storyline of the lesbian gay couple that Klain met? I don't even know when that was.
Well, that wasn't even a storyline. That was one conversation with Meredith.
Well, I know. I guess you're right, but it's just like I felt like he was trying too hard to create like this I don't know. I feel like the moment was good, but contrived. I guess is what I.
Oh, totally contrived. I mean, that was the issue. Is that even though this plotline was interesting, it was just filler. Until we get to next week. But I enjoyed it. I thought
it wasn't entirely filler because we get to find out what happened to Danny and Elliot, and that alone made the storyline worth it.
Yeah.
Where did they go? Elliot.
He went to a yoga retreat, which I assume was a gay boy yoga retreat, which would be very exciting. And then Danny is in rollerball. And do all lesbians rollerball? Is that like a thing?
No.
I feel like
roller derby.
Roller
derby.
I meant roller derby.
And
That's what I meant.
Roller derby women are not lesbians, no.
But all lesbians are in roller.
But do all lesbians roller derby? That was my question. I'm not saying you have to be a lesbian exclusively.
Yeah, I don't know what
Please send your
I don't know where the Venn diagram falls on
that.
Yeah, if anybody has a Venn diagram about that, I don't know.
It's cute.
I don't know because I know people. I've met people who do roller derby, and they're not lesbians.
All I know, I think wasn't the lesbian in Bunheads? She roller derbied. I'm like, can stop this? This is not a stereotype that I appreciate. I think someone doesn't appreciate it. Maybe someone somewhere.
But yes, I found this all to be pretty adorable. And it was a nice plot line. It was a good plot line for Kurt. It's been a little while since.
A good plot line for Kurt in the episode he wrote.
Yeah, totally.
But
Go figure.
Wouldn't he classify himself as a reverse tenor?
An alternative tenor?
No.
No.
I thought he said countertenor.
Countertenor. There it is.
Alter tenor.
Yeah, but I mean, I thought it was very sweet and very fun, and even at the end, when he's about to go on stage, he's still reaching out to his friends and telling them that he supports them, even though they're not supporting him, and it's like, okay,
why?
You're a little too perfect.
Because he's Saint Kurt. He continues to be Saint Kurt.
But I think somebody's got to be the example of decency and good friendship.
Hey, at least in the past, when he was Saint Kurt and people were yelling at other people around Kurt, we complained that it wasn't deserved. But what we are seeing.
Yeah.
He deserves Saint Kurtliness.
Exactly. It is earned. And it was very sweet. And it was, one of those, it's like, we kind of saw where it was going, but it was very sweet. It was very moving. Every aspect of it, these people who had performed all their lives and, they still have the need to perform, and if only just to be doing something and not laying in bed every day. And that was kind of nice, and them getting the moment to feel like they're not forgotten and they are worthwhile. And Still serve a purpose. Like the puppies.
I mean, when I say that this episode was missing polish, was kind of immature. One of the big examples is that we had Tim Conway and Billy D. Williams, and I think they got 2 lines between them.
Oh my God.
Billy D.
barely.
Williams barely shuffled in the background, and I don't think Tim Conway was ever on stage. And for younger people who might not know them, obviously you know Billy D. Williams because he was Lando Calrissian, and if you don't know that he was Lando Calrissian, you can never listen to my podcast again. But he's Billy D. Williams, and then Tim Conway that was on the Carol Burnett show, and he was Dorf, and he was a huge comedian. They also seem to kind of have parts. Like Tim Conway, I got the sense there was a scene where he was sitting too close to Kurt, and he kept smiling kind of stupid, and I got the sense that he was supposed to be this kind of gay old man who was attracted to Kurt or kind of fascinated with Kurt, but then that didn't play off at all. Like they didn't do anything with it.
Oh, see, I didn't take it as that. I took it as more like he just hadn't been around a young person in a while, and it was more like a novelty. Like, oh, like you exist. Like you know, you're not. Like to me, it was more like, oh, wait a second. Here's a person who's not here out of obligation, visiting an elderly parent, who's not here against their will, not here with one foot out the door, actually spending time and engaging in conversation with them. And that's kind of the way I took it. More like, I don't even know what to make of this whole situation.
Well, that's
sweet.
That's a much sweeter interpretation. Well, I guess it's an equal interpretation.
Yeah.
But yeah, to me, it felt like a real lost opportunity to have Tim Conway and not do anything with him, especially when they had Carol Burnett before she died, which is incredible. She's
didn't
not dead?
die.
Okay, I always think Carol Burnett.
I know. Stop
Carol
doing
Burnett
that.
too. I love her so much. So yeah, it's Tim Conway, and then Billy D. Williams. Which I told Jennifer my Billy D. Williams story is I went to lunch in a restaurant and I was having lunch with this dude and Billy D. Williams walked by and the guy goes, Billy D, come here. And Billy D. Williams walked over and I shook his hand and he said hello and it was super cool because he's Lando Calrissian and if you don't know who that is, you should listen to another.
And that's why I married Josh.
And then he the next day he left for New York to star in Mambo Kings the musical, which I believe didn't go because he broke his leg or something. But with Esai Morales. Long story longer. Yes, Billy D. Williams. It was weird that they had those 2
Amazing
notable
stars.
actors. And then like other characters, they had lots of other people in the scenes. Like the guy who was asleep. That they could have given those lines to Billy D. Williams. Like they didn't need that guy in there. So in that aspect, it was kind of strange. On the other hand, you know, the headshots was a really sweet image that they kept going back to. And June Squibb, who was nominated for an Oscar for Nebraska, she seems to have like been hatched 3 months ago and just now become everywhere. Now you see June Squibb everywhere. Ed, what did you think of everything at the old folks' home?
It was fun. I liked it. Him playing Peter was a good time. I like the idea. I forget frequently that Kurt's mom did die, and it was like, oh yes, that is a legitimate callback. Very good job, writers. And they So I thought it was like legit. How he went there, lied about spilling toxic waste, and made things happen.
Yeah, that's something. We got to meet June Squibb's daughter, who was played by Melinda McGraw, who is somebody you probably recognize but don't know where from. She was Dana Scully's sister in X-Files. She was Scott Bakula's girlfriend in Men of a Certain Age. I think she did some episodes of Briscoe County Jr. She's been everything. Like she's she's Canadian. So like any show that shot in Canada in the 90s, she was on it at some point or another.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, and it was you know, I mean it was still very moving, but I felt it was very textbook. The whole
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
And almost too easily resolved. But I did think it was funny when Kurt went to visit her at her office. She's like, you know, my mom doesn't have money, you know. What she called out like another
I don't remember.
older actress
Yes.
with her younger paramour trying to get money out of her.
Yes.
She's like, I don't know what you think, but she doesn't have any money.
And when she called security and said, "You'll only need one
You
guy."
only need one. It was. I mean, it still for some reason worked.
Yeah, I mean, again, it just goes back to, the fact that it was an immature episode. Like this was a pretty textbook plot. Exactly
Yeah.
like you said. It was totally textbook. We've all seen this plot line dozens of times before, and they didn't even. It didn't even have the grace to kind of add a layer to it, because Glee doesn't mind going to the well. It's not wrong to go to the well, but you want to kind of add something to it to spice
Yeah,
it up.
put your own
and
spin
this
on
didn't
it.
Really, but it still worked. You're right. Did anybody else catch the True Detective reference, or was that just?
No, what?
It was in the Sam and Mercedes conversation where Mercedes with the
yes.
dog, she's like, "I'm gonna go full on Carcosa on you,"
Yes.
and I'm like, "Wow, that was a totally random pull."
Yes. I'm sorry. Yes, I do
That
remember
was
that
kind of
now.
hilarious. But yes,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it was sweet. I mean, there's not a lot to it. Again, the whole thing of Kurt needing an outlet, Kurt needing to feel involved, and it worked out, and it was lovely.
they did have a that lovely moment, really sweet moment where Kurt went to June Squibb and said, I don't really have or you don't really have family here, and my friends are really busy, so maybe we can be each other's family. And she was like, "That's sweet." And I said, "That's lovely. We will never see you again."
Yeah, but it was kind of funny that she said, "Well, if I'm doing you a favor, then okay." Yeah, yeah. I was surprised that they actually didn't do, like, a song from Peter Pan. I mean, because they've been kind of not dredging up, but they've been
More musical theater.
yeah, they've been doing more musical theater.
Yeah.
I was expecting them to do something. I mean, other than Cats, which was kind of funny because the dog pound guy said, "Yeah, I like cats."
It was, and that I found really strange, like where Kurt's like, "All right, so we're gonna update the show." I didn't feel that was necessary. It just seemed like enough to just do Peter Pan.
Yeah.
I didn't think it needed that extra layer of, and we're gonna update the songs for some
Yeah.
reason. It just didn't really fly. And then we got
Yeah.
that awkward. I found Lucky Star to be really awkward, but that might just be me.
Yeah, well, and it's like it kind of made you really had to kind of search for the
Yeah, for the meaning.
connection. But actually, Alexandra said the same thing. She wished that they had done a song from Peter Pan,
there you
and
go.
yeah.
Well, let's go ahead. Let's take a quick listen to Lucky Star. Here is Lucky Star, performed by Chris Colfer and June Squibb on the Gleeful Podcast.
You must be my lucky star, 'cause you shine on me wherever you are. I just think of you and I start to glow, and I need your light, and baby, starlight, star bright for star I see tonight. Starlight, make everything alright. Starlight, star bright for star I see tonight. Starlight. Yeah.
You must be my lucky star, 'cause you make that darkness seem so far. And when
Ed, what did you think of Lucky Star?
I didn't realize how awesomely retro that bass sounded until this listen.
I
was like, oh.
clapping all over the place.
Right? It was good. It was a good number. I don't know if it really gave it, like, I really thought the episode was gonna end there. Because then they went to the diner after that, right?
Yeah, and that was the next thing to talk about.
And I was like, I really thought Lucky Star was the end of the episode, and it's like, hold on, no, not quite, because it felt like a closing number. It felt like enough things were resolved.
Yeah.
And then the show just kept going on. It was good though. It was fine. It was very
They
good.
had to go to the diner to put the puppies and the seniors up for adoption.
And the 4-3-2-1, since it's like it reminds me of the good old days of them. Is that the name of that band?
What?
Is that the name of their band? 4321, or what is it?
Who's
Something
oh,
stupid.
One Three
you mean
Hill?
1 3 Hill?
Oh, 13 Hill. Yeah, it's like, oh, it reminds me of the good old days of 13 Hill.
I couldn't. That last scene is really the last thing to talk about. That where they go back to the diner and they get all the dogs adopted. Which apparently the way you get dogs adopted is you just put them in the arms of random people that are passing by, and they immediately go, "Well, this is the dog I will take home and love it until it dies." It was that whole scene was really awkward for me, and the choreography in the Take Me Home Tonight number, and then at the beginning in the Melt With You number, was just kind of them walking in circles. it was the choreography of pacing, effectively, is what we're doing. I thought it was really bland. And the Take Me Home Tonight just did not work for me at all. The whole sequence was just strange. Jennifer, thoughts on Take Me Home Tonight?
You know, I thought it was okay. It kind of... It was sort of like an encore of this performance. And it was fun. I thought it was cute. But, it was more this kind of, random performance thing that didn't really have any focus. I mean, that's the other thing, too. It's like, I feel like there's not been... I mean, okay, he did Memories, and, you're supposed to focus on him, and... Yeah, like you read into the meaning of that song, that's very applicable to him and to all the people he's performing it for. I get that. But it was like, I just don't feel like I've had, and that's the one where I had to get up and do something, and I kind of walked away, and you're like, oh, do you want me to rewind? I'm like, no, I heard it.
Yeah, I got this.
I heard it, There hasn't been that one that's just like, glued me to my chair. All of these, fun little, like even at least when Elliot was there, I was at least, captivated by his performance on stage. But now,
you're 100% right. Like me and Josh were doing an amazing duet of "Keep Holding On" earlier, pre-show.
I hope I can see that.
And what was so good about that moment was it was like, I don't remember the exact sequence of events in the episode, but it was like Rachel, Finn, Quinn love triangle, and like they keep holding on personified that, and it was like, and just the way, just the slightest actions felt so meaningful. But now they're like throwing their arms around and walking in circles, and it all means nothing. It all means nothing.
Yeah,
and the song doesn't mean anything. I don't know. It's just like. It's the most surface level song choice they can make.
Yeah, exactly.
Every time.
Literally, take me home.
Yeah, exactly. Take me home tonight.
Puppy dog
I'm
eyes.
adorable. I have three legs. You should take me home tonight.
All right. Let's go to McConaughey.
Let's take a listen to some voicemails. We got a couple, if I can remember where they are. Where did
Are those flowers in a hamster ball? What is that image?
I'm sorry, what?
It's an image on your screen. It looks like flowers in a hamster ball.
I don't know what you're looking at.
I'm gonna call my
You
mom.
have lots of flowers in hamster balls that you're confused by?
Hi, it's Haley. Just watched the show. I give this episode a B because it had a great Kurt storyline. So glad that he actually has a storyline, so he's actually doing something instead of just being at Niata. And I'm so happy that Chris Costner, who is amazing and perfect in every way, wrote this. He is a great actor, writer, and person all around. The Rachel storyline was really okay, which is bad for me to say because I'm a Rachel lover. I love her. She's my idol. Her storyline, it was flawed because of what she did. It was really wrong, but she learned something from it, which is cool. And I'm really happy that Santana is moving towards a career, I guess, but it'll last. We don't know. I didn't like the Sam and Mercedes storyline because it wasn't that moving. I don't like Mercedes, so yeah. I hope that the dogs in this episode actually got adopted, or that they are show dogs, or they have nice homes, because that'd be awesome. I wish they would have put something in for the animals who actually are in the shelters in New York and everywhere around the world, because animals really are amazing. Okay, thanks for letting me talk. Bye.
Thank you, Kaylee. And here is listener Sonia.
Hey, it's Sonia. Hope I'm not bothering you. I guess this is my new thing. I think this was a good episode. Something felt classic about it. I love that Chris brought back a bit of Season 2/3 Sam, responsible and not stupid. He even threw in reasons for Elliot and Danny's absence. It was weird to have continuity on Glee. And what Chris set up for Santana's character is great. Perfect fit for her. Kurt got a solo and a real plot, finally standing up for himself. It only took his actor writing the episode, and he looks so cute in his costume. Training a dog is as easy as getting a lead role on Broadway, apparently. And unrelated to the episode, the thing with Blaine's easy success is, unlike Rachel and Mercedes, it isn't for things he truly cares about or half the time was even trying to get. Tony role, Nyada, valedictorian, June's patronage. It's like me getting a phone call out of nowhere saying I got a prize for being the most loving dog owner in a competition I didn't even know existed. Yay? Does he even have any goals? He's just sort of coasting. Why should I be happy when he gets stuff, or even care? He barely cares. Well, that's my opinion, that's all. Okay, bye, kiss kiss, mwah.
Thank you very much, Sonia. I mean, we have gotten a lot of Kurt in this season. I mean, he had the gay bashing story, he had the plot line over Blaine's, Blaine, he and Blaine's relationship a couple weeks ago.
Right.
Yeah, so we have gotten a lot of Kurt. This was certainly well, no, that's not, because I was going to say this is kind of the most like where it's all about Kurt, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like we've gotten a lot of Kurt since we made it to New York.
I think this is the first victory we've seen for Kurt. You know, I think this is the first kind of where he's lead. I mean, yes, he, got members together for the band. Yes, he, had his opening with Pamela Lansbury, and then had, different things. But it's more kind of been, like the couple of weeks ago when Blaine was feeling insecure and then lashing out at Kurt. It was more Blaine's story, not Kurt's. And he really has been a supporting character to a lot of other people's storylines, especially Rachel. So like this is like a victory, for Kurt for the first time.
All right, I'll go with that. That makes sense. I'll buy that. Well, that's about all I have. Ed, you wanted to read some tweets.
Yes, I did. I want to thank the people who used hashtag Clayton Talk last week. Yeah, we got a couple. I was just gonna read a couple out. Fancy Machine, better late than never. I made it. And Amy, Amy said, I always listen to the end. Thanks for another great episode. Hashtag Clayton Talk. And at J McKelvey. Oh, okay. Let's do this, Ed. J McKelvey. That's how you say it. Hashtag Clayton Talk. Great episode, guys. Love hearing all your thoughts. So thank you all for reading it, for using the hashtag. And this week's hashtag is going to be hashtag Glee Grades is going to be the hashtag. And I will probably send it out a thank you, because that's what I did to most of the people who did it out last week. Last week I said thank you to most of you for listening, and then I'll read a couple of them out next week for the finale episode.
Well, if you're going to tweet Glee Grades, you should also tweet what your grade was for the episode, right?
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, might as well, yeah. Let's get a consensus on how decent this filler episode, or not decent this filler episode was.
Honestly, I mean, listening to the voicemails and the fact that the three of us all came in at a solid B, I mean, I think this is like the least divisive episode we've had.
Oh, definitely. This is a total this is a classic B episode. Like, it wasn't great, it wasn't bad. It just had some really sweet moments, and it it was just a solid B episode. What's interesting is that I think this is the shortest of any podcast we've done
Yes.
because we have probably we're at 53 minutes right now,
We started 10 minutes late.
and we started 10 minutes. Well, the podcast
Oh,
is 10.
got it,
We've been recording for 53 minutes, and we're vamping right now. Like, I could have cut off the podcast 5 minutes ago. So it is kind of interesting. There just wasn't a lot to talk about in this particular one.
Yeah, they all because it was all just so there. There's no hidden layer. You just say it like it is because it was what it was.
Yeah, there wasn't
Essentially, we just spent the last hour re-narrating what was already on
Yeah.
screen.
Exactly.
we took only 4 extra minutes to do it.
Yes.
Well, for the Gleeful Pod. Oh, if you'd like to weigh in on anything we said tonight, you can email us at gleefulpodcast@gmail.com. And you can find us on Twitter at Gleeful Podcast. I'm at Josh Brunel. She's at Jenny B. Creative. He's at Edward Giordano. Or go to Facebook and search for Gleeful Podcast where you can talk to the other fans. We'll be back next week to discuss the finale entitled The Untitled Rachel Berry Project. Hopefully it's better than the Purple Piano Project.
Oh God.
But how great would it be if she had a TV show called The Purple Piano Project? Not great at all.
How great. As great as it would be if she actually had her own TV show, so come on.
Seriously.
If only Rachel Berry could get on television. If only we can dream it. We could dream it. You could do
Podcast
it.
with Josh, Jen, and Ed. I'm Josh.
I'm Jen.
Vote for Gina Irene on Idol. I am not disappointed with John winning. Well, I'm not. Netta deserved to win, even though I was rooting for Sabrina. But John deserved it as well. You can't argue with results, people. And vote for Christina Grimmie because she deserves to win The Voice. Because, duh. Okay, have a nice night.
Good night, everyone.
I get frightened in all this darkness. I get nightmares. I hate to sleep alone. I need some company, a guardian angel to keep me warm when the cold winds blow.
I can feel you breathe.
I can feel
I
it
can
breathe.
feel your heartbeat faster.
I wanted to real quick. I want to say thank you to Rosie who left us a voicemail, but it was for last week's episode. So I usually don't play voicemails that are about previous episodes, but I just wanted to say thank you for sending that.
Just like Ronnie sang, be my little baby. Be my little baby.
And we're out. Thanks everybody in the chat room.
Someone confirmed that Jack in the Box does in fact sell tacos, so you should go buy one, and get a Taco Bell taco and get a Jack in the Box taco and side by side comparison and just live tweet the results.
I'm within walking distance of like 6 actual taco shacks, like at least 6.
Yeah, but that's like, do you want legitimate Hispanic food or do you want knockoff fast? Like let's get real here, okay?
All right, dude. It's been a
Hashtag GMOs. Hashtag GMOs.
All right, guys. We will talk to everybody next week. Good night, everyone.
Night.